Previews promises something precious. Here's your look at the Diamond Select, the Lord of the Rings San Diego Comic-Con 2021 exclusive, the Cloaked Frodo and Gollum 2-pack. From Diamond Select Toys, what has it got in its pocket, says. This exclusive 2-pack of the Lord of the Rings action figures lets the cat out of the bag, showing Frodo in his completely invisible mode, wearing the One Ring of Sauron. Standing right next to him is Gollum, who looks upset about someone stealing his precious. Each 4-inch action figure features multiple points of articulation, as well as detailed sculpting and paint applications. This limited edition pair comes packaged in a replica of the opening book, along with Gollum's boat, designed by Eamon O'Donoghue, sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios. This San Diego Comic-Con 2021 Lord of the Rings Deluxe action figure box set is limited to only 4,000 pieces worldwide. Pretty little things can make for pretty deadly things if one isn't too careful. Before we get a closer look at the previous exclusive Lord of the Rings San Diego Comic-Con 2021 exclusive, well, that's a bit of a mouthful, I'd like to thank the folks over at Diamond Select that did provide this sample that we could have a look at in this review. If you're interested to partake in one of these for yourself, it is a very limited release at only 4,000 copies worldwide. That being said, let's go ahead and grab the tape measure here. We'll do comparisons as well of these figures in a second. First of all, Cloaked Frodo stands just shyer, that's horrible, just shy of 5 inches in height, or the figure's roughly about 12 centimeters tall. Gollum is going to be a little bit shorter, of course, as you can probably already see. The figure is only 4 inches in height, or it's about just a little over 10 centimeters tall. To make sure we are meeting our comparison quota, let's bring a couple of figures right now. Here's what Cloaked Frodo looks like next to the regular Frodo we've already looked at here on this channel. In this case, it does seem like they are using the same bodies, right down to actually using the exact same hand sculpts as well. He also comes included with a removable sword, the Sting, which we will be also looking at here in a second, and also freeing up the space next to him. Here's what he looked like. Gollum, in this case, looked like next to the Gollum that, again, we've already looked at here on this channel. Same bodies, although in this case, they are using different head sculpts. This Gollum that we will be looking at again in this video does come with also a swappable head sculpt. And good news, everybody! I was actually able to change, or at least remove the head on this Gollum, and a real tough time with the earlier one we looked at. For this 2-pack's accessories, we're going to look at Frodo's first, simply just because he comes included with a display stand, and that's it. The same oval-shaped stand may look familiar to you because it's the same stand that we've also gotten lately with the San Diego Comic-Con 2022 exclusives that we've been looking at lately here. In this case, it's actually been done in a clear plastic to match the coloring, of course, of Frodo. You can take the figure's feet. He does have peg holes on the undersides after all, and you can just plug those on. I guess it would make more sense to have it on this side. I guess it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. And you can actually have the figure at least on a display stand. In that sense, he actually does one better than the earlier looked at Frodo, just because Frodo, in that case, didn't come included with a display stand. I kind of just still wish that they could have included stands with all of those figures. Put, like, Lord of the Rings or something onto the top of it. You don't have to make them exclusive where each of the stands have to have the character's name. But at the very least, just if they included the oval-shaped stand in some of their figures. Anyways, taking the stand off because it's already now making Gollum feel that much shorter. I'm going to put the stand to the side. The figure also comes included, as already mentioned, with Sting. I'm going to go ahead and remove that right now. It's Sting! Anyways, comes included with the sword. It's made of a translucent, kind of clear plastic. It is the same sword, in fact. Just reaching off right now and bringing in the other Frodo. I already had this ready because I knew I was going to be comparing these two in a second. It is the same Sting. Just the fact that, of course, this one isn't painted at all, but at least it matches the same motif as the rest of Frodo, all using this translucent clear plastic. And in both the cases, as well, as we already had looked at, you just easily holster that into the scabbard located on the side of his belt. I will say, though, be careful putting the sword in, because you're putting into a scabbard that's clear. The sword is clear, and putting already those two things together, there's always the risk of potentially breaking it. Anyways, getting, though, a closer look at Frodo, it's really kind of hard to make out his face. In some ways, it does look like Frodo, just by the shape of his hair. It also looks like Weird Al, which we are actually getting ourselves a Weird Al biopic. I don't know why. I don't know why Harry Potter. Why is he going to be the one that's playing Weird Al? Anyways, the head sculpt, I'm going to bring in the one that at least was painted so you can kind of see. Seems to be the same. I can't imagine in this case that they would have used a different head sculpt or head tooling to give us a different look for Frodo, considering it's clear plastic after all anyways. Some of the features obviously get lost in the mix simply just because you're not able to go in there and paint it. But it does give you an opportunity to see what Frodo would look like if he was suck and void of all of his color. One thing also with the clear versions of Frodo is it gives you also the opportunity to see sort of his internal skeletal frame. All the pegs on this figure, the shoulders, the elbow joints, even like the wrist pegs, are all using at least a solid white plastic. That was one risk I was worried about that this figure would be facing, is using clear plastic also for the joints, because clear plastic doesn't hold up well over the years when it comes to bending the figure's arms. Well, that wasn't the case necessarily with Diamond Select stuff. We have learned in the past, clear pegs is never really the way to go when it comes to articulating a figure. But luckily you can see by his skeletal frame, kind of looks a little creepy, doesn't it? You can at least see that they are using a white plastic. So I like that. Parts that you at least can make out is the sculpting of his hair. Again, like, it's very minimal when it comes to sculpting of the face, because again, it's hard to kind of make one thing out from the next thing next to it. Kind of like his eyes blend into his face. His nose at least sticks out. And I think he looks a little bit better when you see it from the side profile, because you're actually able to at least make out some of the more finer features on this figure. But the charm of this one, of course, is the fact it's using the clear plastic. It's got the clear cloak, which seems more of a harder plastic. And one thing also I do like about this figure is it keeps consistent the clear plastic. Sometimes, though, when you are looking at clear figures, and we've looked at enough of them here over the years, sometimes some of the joints, some of the limbs seem to be more of a yellowed plastic, while other things seem to be not quite the same coloring. It seems in this case that all the coloring on the joints, or I should say at least the limbs, the arms, the torso, the legs, and even down to his furry little feet, all seem to be using the same type of plastic. So it doesn't look jarring, where one area looks a little bit off-colored than the one next to it. Articulation, again, on this figure is going to be the exact same as the one that we looked at earlier. The other Frodo, that is. Head rotates all the way around. It looks down. It looks also up. And you can also rock it back and forth just a little bit. Arms come out at about, I would say, a 90-degree angle bend. This one comes up just a little bit short. You take the arms and you rotate them all the way around. You can bend at the elbow, all the same as the Frodo we looked at before. Arm rotate back and forth this way, and you can rotate the hands all the way around with a hinge back and forth that way as well. The upper torso does seem not to be on a swivel joint, or if there is, it's a very tight joint. Yeah, it does seem like there's a swivel joint because, of course, yeah, Frodo, the other one we looked at before, did also have the same swivel. Although in this case, because he does have like the little strap that comes down, again, that's at least a softer plastic. At least that's the case there. Just be careful, though. I would really not want to clip, because I think the thing that's probably going to break on this figure, not that we want to talk about breaking on figures, is probably the peg point that attaches the scabbard to the belt. And especially if you have the handle of Sting sticking out. It's Sting! I think there's a risk, of course, if you're going to rotate the torso, that's going to clip against that and probably pop that peg right off. Right off. Across the room it's going to go. Legs hinge out. Again, I almost did that. Legs hinge out. I was so quick to do that, I almost broke the scabbard right off. We're going to do on this side. Be careful. Don't do what I almost just about did. Legs go forward and back. Again, you can move them out. There's a swivel about 3/4 of the way up the thigh. There's also a single hinge on the knee, which is really, really tight in this figure. And you can also rotate the lower leg. Rotate the feet back and forth via the ankle pivot. And yeah, you can move them all up and down as well. In case you're all also curious, is his feet just as furry even though they are using clear plastic? Yes, they are just as furry as before. Nice looking Frodo. Just be careful. Just be careful of that scabbard. Boy, oh boy, I almost did that too in this review. That would have been disastrous. But that's what Frodo looks like. On to now Gollum. Gollum comes included accessory-wise with 2 fish, which so happens to be the exact same fish that came included with the single release Gollum that we looked at not just too long ago. In fact, I still so happen to have, it's almost like I planned this. Here's the fish that came included. Why am I pointing at it? I mean, they're identical after all. And here's the one that came included with this Gollum. Perhaps, if anything, I could say maybe like the metallic green. Doesn't seem as shiny as the original Gollum's fish, but it's fish. Who cares, right? Who really cares? You can take, though, the fish, any one of them, You can put them into his hand. If you turn it quite well enough, usually he actually does a pretty good job of holding the fish. I don't know why I'm struggling right now. There we go. Sort of have to take the fish and I'll have to make that sound effect, mind you, but twist the fish, is that a game? Twist the fish towards his fingers. It's more than enough to have Gollum holding his fish. Although the look on his face doesn't seem like someone who's lost his fish. It seems like somebody who's lost his ring. Speaking of which, how's that for a segue? Figure comes also included with a hand. This so happens to be the exact same hand. I'm going to bring in back the other Gollum right now. So happens to be the same hand to hold the one ring that I already have right now displayed with this Gollum. Exactly the same. Hands are a little bit more dingier, I find, on the plastic, and the ring doesn't seem to be as shiny as the one that we got before, but it is, in fact, the exact same hand, if you did want to have them displayed with that. Although I think it would kind of break the continuity of things if Frodo, of course, I know technically Frodo could have been still, well, he's got the ring. I would not probably want to display Gollum in this case with the ring, but he does also come with a relaxed hand as well. Again, nicely colored. They've added, again, a little bit of kind of a reddish coloring added in there as well, like a wash of brown. Just a nice looking hand overall. The figure also comes included with this head sculpt too. This is the head that's looking slightly off to the side like Gollum's planning something. It happens to also be, segueing this ourselves, happens to be the same one that we did get before. Although, I don't know why, even though like the eyes are doing the exact same thing, it looks like he's looking in two different, completely different directions. It could be also the way they painted the pupil. See how this pupil, why are we drawing so much attention to this? This pupil is kind of going off to the corner. This pupil is looking off to the side. So it almost kind of looks like, even though it's the same head sculpt, one set of eyes is looking up. This set of eyes is looking sideways. One thing I can certainly now do, at least on this figure, unlike the one that we did before, is this one actually does have the removable head. The other one did have that too, but the problem I really had was the ball joint didn't want to free itself. This one wasn't the problem at all. In fact, let's go ahead and do that right now. You can easily pop and remove the head. I don't want to even say easily. Easily is not even the best word to be using here. Just pop the head off the ball joint. See right there? Dumbbell ball joint. So you got a ball joint here at the top, ball joint down at the bottom. And then you can just take the head and replace it really if you wanted to. Now for me, all the effort to just do that now, I already have smiling Frodo, or smiling Gollum. I kind of like the idea of displaying this one with more of the angrier look. So even though I did just show you guys it is possible, I didn't make that up before in the earlier review, I'm going to pop this head back in anyways because he's angry, he's ticked off, he's lost his ring. This is a better looking head sculpt if you ask me. Coloring wise, like I said, I'm going to bring back in. It does seem like it's darker and dingier. Now, again, like, I'm only basing this just solely on the figures I'm looking at in this review. If you had picked up this set for yourself, it's possible, really, that the paint might not be the same. Like, it does seem like he's a little more darker, like they've added more of a wash of brown to it. This is a much fairer-skinned Gollum. Bodies are exactly the same. Limbs are exactly the same. Even the loincloth is the same between the two figures. One thing I also didn't talk about, we're going to go ahead and go back to Gollum here in a second. I'm going to talk after all about his articulation. Figure also in this case comes included with his boat. It's molded here all in plastic and it's finished just as well nicely on the outside as it is on the inside. You've got all the bones that he has tied off together, making himself a nice, decently disturbing looking raft. You can sail down the waters. You can put the figure really in it if you want to. Although with his legs, you really do have to kind of bring them forward. Just bend them a little bit. There you go. Gollum could be screaming as he's floating down by the water side. I don't know if I would necessarily have him displayed with this, but I certainly appreciate the fact that they would have included such a cool looking accessory like this. We're going to put that to the side. Getting a closer look at Gollum's quickly, the rest of his detailing on his body. I mean, again, mileage may vary when it comes to the paint on this one. This one has a more darker coloring on the brown, the individual Gollum. This one has more of a softer brown, but in this case, both of his knees are quite more dirtier. Feet are exactly the same. They both also have peg holes on the undersides of his feet. And if you did want to as well, you could technically bring in the rock face. There's the rock face right there. That came included the original Gollum. Because his feet are attached the exact same way with those peg holes, easily just attach them onto the pegs on the top, and you can have Gollum on the top there screaming. For the articulation here on Gollum, head sculpt wise, it is on a ball joint. We've established now the fact the figure does have two ball joints, one there, one there. So it allows the head to look down, look up, and also rock back and forth also as well. Arms come out comfortably again at that 90-degree angle bend. You can take the arms and rotate them all the way around. Figured it has only a single hinge on the elbow. The thing about the single hinge, though, is it stretches far enough that it doesn't just bend like that. Because the joint is long enough, you can actually get almost to the same extent of what you would get with a double hinge on the elbow while only using a single hinge. Kind of like the way they've done that. If you bend it too far, then it does look like he has broken something in his forearm, but if you have it just relaxed like this, blends in nicely with the rest of the forearm, and again, you get just as much mileage as what you would get with a double hinge on the elbow. Nice touch on their part. Hands rotate all the way around. You can also hinge them out, also back and forth that way. Figure has an upper torso ball joint. Figure has no lower torso articulation just because it's molded right into the loincloth, but the figure does have ball joints on his legs. You can see sort of the interior. Ooh, that's gross. The ball joints on the inside there, you can take the legs and move them forward and back. It's a same hinge joint in the knee. Allows the lower leg to rotate. Articulation here on the feet, and there's also the toe or the foot articulation via the ankle pivot there as well. And there you have, ladies and gentlemen, the Gollum that comes in this set as well, with finally a head that it can actually pop right off. All of that, only for me just to revert back to the way he came out of the packaging anyways with his screaming face. And again, we'll bring back in the other figures we've already had a look at. There was the standalone singular released Gollum, and here's the more colored version of Frodo. At least in this case, because you do have the double heads for Gollum, you can have the figures displayed in two different ways. So I don't feel like in this case, even though you are getting the same mold of figure, you're getting at least that mileage with it that you can have it displayed in two different ways. For me, when it comes to displaying these guys on the shelf, which I most definitely will be doing after this review, this guy I'm probably going to be likely displayed. Let me just bring his ring up there. There we go. Going to probably have him displayed like this. And I think what I might end up just doing is the one that came included with the Cloaked Frodo. Maybe just have him perched on top of that rock face that came included with the other Gollum. And of course, the benefit of this set too, as limited as the release is on this set being only 4,000 copies worldwide, is that you do get yourself a nice looking Cloaked Frodo. It loses some of the paint, obviously, and it doesn't have as much the finer features, so you don't really get to appreciate how good the head sculpt is on that initial Frodo on the clear version, but you certainly at least benefit from having a cloak-looking Frodo, and I gotta say, it does look pretty cool on a shelf, even though you're probably not going to be seeing it as well because he's going to be blending into the background. Double dipping from Diamond, yes, but at least double dipping in a good way. I was already a big fan of the Gollum figure to start off with when we had a look at that standalone Gollum, and considering that figure already came included with 3 different head sculpts and a pair of different hands, one of which that did have the ring in his fingers, this figure I could either have displayed in the screaming head sculpt, I could have it displayed with the side eye look that comes included with just this figure, or yeah, I could also use the big smiling face that came included with the other Gollum, because of course they are using the same ball joint. I'm just so happy I could actually get the ball joint to work on this figure, because I still have problems with that other one. I wonder if there's paint or something built up on the ball joint that just will not let me remove it. But at least this one, I'm benefiting from having a one that actually does have a removable head. All of that anyways, I'm just going to ultimately display them the way I had them displayed in this review. One with the big smiling face, one with the screaming face. I'm not even going to make use of the swappable head sculpt. Why did I invest so much time talking about it anyways? Now, Frodo, in this case, is also double dipped. I mean, when you consider the fact it's the same mold as what we got before, but this one's nicely cloaked in clear plastic. The clear plastic is also nicely handled too. It's not got that weird yellowing that sometimes you get with clear plastic figures. And I'm not talking about yellowing that would occur if you have a figure for a long time in your collection. Sometimes the clear plastic that companies are using for their clear figures isn't always the same makeup. And you'll notice that sometimes one has a little more of an off yellowish color, and sometimes certain areas in the body tend to be usually the head. A lot of times it's the torso, are more the clear, pristine looking clear plastic. In this case, Frodo has it from head to toe. There's nothing yellow at all about him. It is a bit strange that you can kind of see his white skeletal frame on the inside, but that goes with the territory of getting any clear figure. The only thing I would say is stressful on this figure is watch the scabbard. Oh boy, I almost did that in this review too. Went to move the leg out. I think I even heard a little, and I said, oh, stop. Whoa, buddy. Let's just ease on back on that one. And luckily I didn't break the scabbard. So if you are looking to pick this set up for yourself, just be careful when it comes to moving Frodo's legs, at least one of his legs, because it's pretty close to that scabbard. And if you're not too careful, it's going to break right off, and you're going to be sad. And you're going to weep. You're just going to be sad the fact that you broke it. You probably could glue it back into place, but you'll always know. Even if your friends don't know, they're none the wiser. Deep down inside, you will always know. It'll eat away at you that you broke that figure and you had to rely on the glue. and your friend's about to pick it up. No, don't pick it up. Don't pick it up. Oh my God, he's going to see the glue. I think I did a good enough job. I only added a whole bottle of glue. Okay. Oh no, he's looking at the glue. Be careful with what I'm saying. Be careful with the scabbard. But a nice set, though, nonetheless, from the folks over at Diamond Select. Like I said, this one is exclusive to San Diego Comic-Con 2021. So this would have taken place last year and is very limited at only 4,000 copies worldwide. Chances are, of course, you're not going to be able to find this one this year at the convention unless maybe there's a dealer room that's selling this set. So you may have to probably partake in going on places like eBay. Just be careful, of course, you're not paying through the roof if you're looking to get the set. But if you're lucky enough to partake, acquire, and have the victory dance in your living room that you were able to finally find this set, you got yourself a nice looking set to have on display. A Gollum we got before, yes, but at least a decent looking Gollum that can be displayed in more than one way, and a clear looking Frodo looks oh so nice. A big thank you though to the folks over at Diamond Select that did provide the sample of the San Diego Comic-Con SDCC 2021 previews exclusive Lord of the Rings box set. I'm just trying to think right now, how am I going to title that when it comes to posting the video? You want to be able to put enough in there that people know exactly what it is that you're reviewing, but you don't want to make it too long where somebody has to sit through and what does that say for the title? Diamond Select Toys, Lord of the Rings, previews exclusive, San Diego Comic-Con 2021, Cloaked Frodo and Gollum review set. That's too much. I'm going to have to abbreviate that a little bit. I'm going to have to abbreviate that title. We'll figure out something. In the meantime, though, if you guys are interested, first of all, if you enjoyed this video, be so kind to maybe hit it with a like. If you are new here and you're enjoying the content, making sure you're hitting the subscribe button and making sure that you're turning on the bell notification so you're going to get reminders every single time. Not only are we going to be looking at Diamond Select reviews in the near future, but there's a ton of other things coming your way, and you don't want to be the person on the street crying because you had to glue your figure. I used so much glue. Oh, it's so obvious that I used glue on it. Don't be the person that's weeping, and weeping because you're missing out on the content here on this channel. Glue and missing out on these videos causing somebody to weep. Lots of things coming your way, guys. So as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.